evening, and
Good.
welcome back to Black Mental Health is Black Health. I'm still your host, Bronwyn Misby Lucas, and tonight we're going to be talking about your mental wellness with a very exciting guest I have. But if you've been here before, you know what we do. We take in some deep breaths just to breathe and get started for the evening. So let's get ready to think about those deep cleansing breaths. So if you've never been here before, let me tell you how we do it. I'm going to count very slowly to four, and I'll say, breathe in. And then I'm going to count very slowly to four again, and I'll say, breathe out. And you'll breathe in and you'll breathe out at my direction. So let's get started. Breathe in, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. In, two, three, four. Out, two, three, four. One more. In, two, three, four. Out, two, three, four. How was that for you, Chrissy?
Feels wonderful to me. Kind of get me out of my headspace.
There you go. And that's why we do it. It's just a way of relaxing, something we can do at any time and anywhere we need that. Tonight we're talking all about mental wellness, and we have a special guest. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell the audience something cool about yourself.
Okay, my name is Chrissy Wright O'Leary. I'm a licensed professional counseling associate. I have a practice of Hartford Place counseling. My degree is marriage family therapy. However, I do see individuals, especially those in relationships, maybe dating, need some assistance in getting in or getting out of a relationship. So we can pretty much see it all. Something special about me is my superpower, which I say is spreading joy wherever I go. So when I walk into that mundane room and there's one or two people I can lock eyes with, give them a big smile, and some kind of way they just bring a little smile to them or say something a little kind of quirky and make them laugh. So spreading joy wherever I go, that is my superpower.
Awesome. That is an awesome superpower. And I will say, yes, she has a knack of working a room. She's great at it. Well, tonight we're talking about mental wellness as we start back up. We've been off for a while, but looked at changing things, but we changed some things behind the scene. But you know what? This is the year this show is going to take off and do well. So we're staying the course and we're moving forward. And that's part of mental wellness is knowing where you are and what you need to do and making it happen. So, Tracy, I see clients who deal with anger, anxiety, depression, and grief mainly. And I started age 16 and go up. But I think your focus is on couples. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, working with couples, married or just dating, as well as some that are looking to get into or get out of a relationship and not unsure how. So that's pretty much it, and I kind of enjoy it. I know not too many people like that couples dynamic. They feel more of a referee in between two that are arguing, but I like to help them to be able to communicate a little better.
Awesome. Let's look at just in terms of talking about what mental health or mental wellness is. I will read the official definition and let's talk about it. When I say official, this is a definition put out by the American Psychological Association, so kind of official. And they define mental health as a state of mind that includes emotional well being, good behavioral adjustment, relative freedom from anxiety and disabling symptoms, the ability to form constructive relationships, and the ability to cope with the demands and stress of life. And one thing when I read that, one thing that sticks with me, it doesn't say you free from worries. Mental health does not mean you're free because it says relative freedom from anxiety because we live in an anxiety producing society. It says you're relatively free from anxiety and disabling symptoms. Doesn't mean you don't have any symptoms. And that's where therapy comes in to help you manage them. And it also says the ability to cope with the demands of the stresses of life. So life is still going to have stressors. When you have good mental health, you learn to manage it. What do you say about how would you define it or add to or take away from this definition?
Well, for me, mental health is the emotional, the psychological, the your social, because all that kind of comes into play in how you either interact or don't interact with people. But pretty much just how your overall well-being of your emotions. Are my emotions in check, or am I just spazzing out at any little thing? Um, Psychological, which how I think, how I process the situation. If I'm going out in public, are these people going to attack me? Just kind of how I think about things. So just making sure all of that is in a proper space, and I'm able to manage and cope in those areas.
Good point. Good point. Now, let me ask you, what made you want to become a therapist?
Well, let's see. A short story. I have my older brother was diagnosed probably late teens, early 20s, with schizophrenia, as well as he was a um, crack user. So with that dual diagnosis, I'm gonna say all of his life there was always some problems, and he was just kind of, prior to being officially diagnosed, always in trouble, always kind of doing deviant things. So I had a mother who was single, 6 children, dealing with her own stress of grief, managing, trying to take care of children, dealing with a son. Well, actually, 2 sons. I had a brother that was with sickle cell. So you have a sickly child. So she was a caregiver in that sense, as well as a child that I'm not sure what he's going to do on any given day, not sure why. Um, to realizing that he was schizophrenic. But she's always placed me in situations where there was somebody pouring into me. So for me, I always wanted to pour into someone else. That's kind of that underdog, so to speak.
Awesome. What a good reason for getting into this field. Um, let's look at so you do mainly see couples. Tell me about working with couples. You're right. Some therapists are like, I don't want to do that. Oh, that's too hard. Tell me what some of the things, like I said, I see anger, anxiety, depression, grief. Do these issues come up with couples? Do they impact the marriage?
Yes. Um, a good deal of it has to do with the individual people in the couple, the individuals in the relationship, their past experiences, be it their childhood, some childhood trauma, just some experiences, say maybe in their younger adulthood or later in life that they've had to experience. Could be some work related stress, or anxiety, or just trying to transition into, now I'm new child, and my husband feel like he's not getting attention. What do I do? Or I'm going back to work and I have a newborn child. So there's many different aspects of the anxiety part that we deal with, and some just your basic trying to communicate. There's one movie going on in this theater of the husband's head. There's another movie going on in the theater of the wife's head, and neither one, they're in the same movie theater, but in different, watching different movies and not sure how to communicate what they're seeing so that they can understand one another and go through their dynamics of what they need to do to care for themselves, love themselves and their children.
What are some tips you have? Maybe one or two things you can say to someone listening that will help with communication because communication is paramount. And even when dealing with individuals, We deal with communication because if you're having a problem at work, if you're on your third job, you've had a problem with each one, something's wrong. Or I get this a lot. My spouse says I have an anger problem. When they ask why I'm here, because my wife said I have an anger problem, so I'm here. Or my husband said I'm mad all the time, so I'm here. Anybody else say that? Yeah, my mom tried to side with my husband. Yeah, I get mad. Or my children say, Daddy, you mad all the time. So there's all of that where it's like, if everybody's saying that, you might need to look at that. And even the anger sometimes is you don't know how to communicate. And it comes out, I'm not even angry. And they say that I'm angry all the time. But listen how you sound right now. What are some things you can say just about communication that can be applicable to couples or just individuals?
Well, communication is, as much as we like to say, and I always think the old adage of, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. I said that's the biggest lie we used to say to ourselves, children. Because words do hurt, but really it's not so much as the words, it's that neck work and how we say it. And so sometimes it's just our attitude behind what we're saying, as well as that volume. So you have the physiological, the actual words themselves, and there's one other, and I'm drawing a blank. But all of those kind of come to play. So how I said, there's one thing to say there's a fire, and then there's a fire, so go to the door. Or can you answer the door, please? So there's just different detonation in how you say something. So all of that kind of comes to play. So some tips that I like to, for my couples, I'll have them do the mirroring exercise where one is the speaker, one is the listener. The listener repeats back what the speaker has said and pretty much give it to them verbatim so that what was said can hopefully, for the listener, they'll have an understanding of what was being said and not so much as just repeating what they said. You said, go to the door, take out the trash. I heard you say, take out the trash. Well, also the speaker might want to say, I would like for you to take that trash out now, not when you're ready. But so there's some key things in there that might not be said. And sometimes when we're not being understood or sometimes validated, there comes that anger. And with that anger, you have, it's just kind of pent up and it comes out later. So I like to say frustration is a wish in disguise. So instead of saying
that, explain that frustration is a wish in disguise. Tell us more.
So sometimes I'll use myself.
Okay.
We might say, you don't never wash the dishes. I just might say that. That's not necessarily the case, but you don't ever wash the dishes. Well, it's not true that you don't ever wash the dishes. But what we really want, that wish that we really want that we're not really stating, I wish you would wash the dishes tonight. So just ask him, would you wash the dishes tonight? For some reason, you don't ever wash the dishes. So you expect the other person to know that you want them to wash the dishes. All they hear is you complaining or you're accusing them of something. So now how do they respond? In a defense mode.
Yes.
So now
that you can realize how we're putting someone in that defense mode. So one of the things I tell my clients, it's not what you say, but how you say it, and you've alluded to it. And the example that I give is, I say I'm going to say 2 words. I'm going to say them twice, and tell me if they even have the same meaning or the same feeling. And number 1, come here. Number 2, come here. So let me ask you, Chrissy, do they make you want to do the same thing?
No.
What is the first one?
The first one, what
does that make you want to do?
The first one is kind of like, okay, I'm gonna come and see. I'm a little bit more interested in what you might want me over there for. The second one is like, okay, why are you demanding me or commanding me? You know what's with that? I don't know if I want to go over there now.
Exactly. One makes you want to come, one makes you want to go away.
Exactly.
So, when we're thinking about couples in a marriage, it could definitely be that way. But the same with individuals. How are you delivering a message? So when we think about our mental health, another way that communication impacts it, we all want to be heard.
Exactly.
But we can hinder being heard. Like I said, that one, come here versus come here. Or this one word. What? What? And it's not just the tone. My whole body language was different.
Whole body language.
What? Your face changes, your body moves, and that gives does that give a different message to you?
Not at all.
You
this here gets me in trouble a lot.
How so?
And that's because, for one, I'm sometimes not sure of what it's displaying to others or what others are seeing. But sometimes when I'm in my head in deep thought, I can kind of get the scowl. And then if somebody's talking to me and I have the scowl, what do you mean by that? And it's like, never mind, I don't want to answer because they're looking at the scowl and not so much as what I say. So I have to be cognizant of what my face is portraying, as well as what I'm meaning to say or to convey. So I really have to think about it. So it's just, sometimes it's not just natural, but it's more natural for me to, what do you want? Kind of with that frown. Not that I'm meaning anything ugly, but it just happens that way.
And that's a good lesson for all of us. We want to be heard. There is a general desire to be heard, to be understood, but we can sometimes get in our own way. And when we think about our mental wellness, when we don't feel heard, we don't feel that someone is connecting to us, that can, and if that happens repeatedly, that can impact how we feel about ourselves. See, nobody likes me.
Exactly.
But nobody likes
why should I say anything? Nobody's listening to me anyway.
And then sometimes we have to look introspectively. But what did you do to make nobody want to listen to you? Go on.
Sometimes that we can imprison our own self in our own mind about what we're thinking. So although I more so specialize with couples, I do see individuals and how sometimes their own, like you say, getting in your own way may have an impact on their relationships, be it intimate relationships or co-workers, family, or something of that nature. I oftentimes hear women say, I don't have any female friends because females are blah, 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 blah. Some of that is really some of the hurt that is in your past. So we may have to venture that so that can change your thought and your perspective on not having any female friends.
I always say, well, are you that way? Because you're female. So you can't say all. If you say you're not that way, then you just debunked all females.
Right. That is true.
If you're not and you're female, let's do one more thing on communication, because even if we only get to communication, it is so major to your mental health, to being heard, to being understood, to getting along with others. And when you communicate well, man, that can have a positive impact on your mental health, because you're also able to communicate when things aren't going well with you. When you know how to communicate well, you'll be able to say, you know what, I am just not in a good space right now mentally. You can say that as opposed to leave me alone, I'm just mad.
Exactly. Go get out of my face.
Get out. Look, I don't want to talk to you. I can't deal with people right now.
Right.
As opposed to, I'm just not in a good space right now. So that communication and communicating your needs, even your mental health, is important. So have you ever used the 4 T's of communication?
I have not. Enlighten me, please.
I use it a lot. I've created a graphic even that I send out to clients. And the 4 T's are timing, tone, technique, and truth. Timing. Is it the right time to say it? And not necessarily time on a clock. That's part of it. part of that could be, if this person a morning person, they're not, but then don't try to have a difficult conversation with them first thing in the morning. Um, is this somebody that when they get off work, I need space before I can talk to you. Let me get home and rest, then we can talk. But you want the second they walk in the door. So that time is off, you know? So so
I
that's the time, you know, is it the time of day? Is it just you're in a good place, you know? The next one would be tone. We already talked about the tone of your voice. So important. Think about the tone, how you say it as much as what you say. Then I'm just going over them real quickly, and then you can comment technique. You know, if you jump in, you know, yeah, I need to talk to you because you always do da 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 da. If you jump in that way, you're likely to put that person on the defensive.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's, you know, we really need to talk. I really like the way you've been doing such and such, but I've got a concern about this. Start with something good.
Mm-hmm.
When you start with something bad, I'm already turned off. Maybe you start with, you know, I really liked the way you have been coming in cleaning up the kitchen. Want to know if you could add sweeping that floor to it. Now, another way to say it is, could you sweep the floor when you clean up the kitchen? It's not the kitchen is not complete to me until the floor is swept. Which one is going to make you think about it and consider it and maybe do it? And then we have, in terms of technique, own my own stuff. That's where I statements come in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel angry or upset when you do. You do. Why do you feel upset? As opposed to you make me. No one makes you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You make me mad every time you do that. Mm. So that's that technique. And the last one is truth. Is what I'm saying really true, or is it my opinion, or is it just that I'm just ticked off and angry?
Mm-hmm.
Say it. If I use words like always and never, very rarely. You always, okay, here's one for couples. You always leave that toilet seat up. Well, if they put it down one time, always is never. Always is not true.
Right.
Never ever put your clothes in the hamper. They're in the hamper right now. Then never is going out. So using always and never in those, you know, definite statements, it takes away the truth of it. And sometimes it's how we deliver the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
it necessary at this moment to bring up that truth in order to enhance it? So timing, tone, technique, and truth. Any comments on the 4 T's of communication?
Oh, I have some. They're very similar. I could call it making setting the appointment, giving an appreciation, and then kind of again what you said with the I statements. I feel, and then let them give a response. Setting the appointments
Hold
because
on, the sound. Okay. Now go on.
okay for the setting the appointment is if my husband comes in and I'm ready to just go into whatever everything I've been thinking about. For him, it's like, hey, let me take my clothes off. Let me take my shoes off before we. So again, set an appointment. Hey, babe, I need to talk about something that's real important. Once you kind of get in and settled in, when would be a good time to have that conversation? Give me about 30 minutes, an hour or so. You know, might want to bathe, what have you. So after that hour, hopefully, you know, he's at that point. Okay, what's going on? What's on your mind? Now I can give that appreciation. Babe, I thank you for, you know, going out every day, working hard to provide for our family. But I just kind of wanted to discuss something. I don't like the way you said to me the other day, cook you some food. You know, you were just more demanding. And I'm just kind of throwing it out there. But it gives him that opportunity to now to apologize or to have his response. He may not even remember he said it. But at least he know how I feel about it. So now he's going to be a little bit more, I'm sorry, that's my alarm, more of aware of how he's speaking or what have you. So again, going back into that communication. But the timing, you know, giving an appreciation, kind of setting an appointment, giving an appreciation. In a sense, it's kind of the, I guess, the A acronyms, if you will, for your T talks.
I love it. I love it. if we look at that, believe it or not, we're just about out of time. Tends to go pretty quickly. And we focus a lot on communication, but even doing that can really enhance your mental wellness. You
Mm-hmm.
will be heard and you will hear better when you can enhance your communication skills, whether you're a couple, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult. We all want to be,
Mm-hmm.
but we also all need to hear others as well as be heard. So as we wind down, I want to know, do you have 3 tips you could share to help people manage their mental wellness? And before you do that, I do want to say, stress. I use the term mental wellness now instead of mental health because we think about wellness and what we eat and our health and we're exercising. And we often leave our mental wellness out of it. Well, if mental health and physical health is the same, mental wellness and physical wellness, they're you can't separate them. So
Exactly.
what tips can you think of 3 tips you might have to help us manage our mental wellness?
One for me is to kind of alleviate ourselves of some of the stress that we be coming in from work, and you just all tense if you have that tense job. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, husband's coming in, you're tired of mommy, mommy, mommy. You want some adult conversation, but your husband still needs that time to wind down. Maybe just take a walk. Put the baby in a stroller, or if he's tired and able to walk, go to the park, play with him. It's just being out in nature is that natural anti-depressant. Take off your shoes, walk in the grass, kind of get grounded in that sense. But just the wonder, the awe and wonder of children playing, that innocence. We as adults, we get so tied up into adult stuff that we forget to kind of have that childlike play. So being out in nature, I think, kind of gives us back that time, kind of help us to just put away the worries of the world and just watch how the birds fly. Go by a lake or a pond and just sit and listen to the water trickle. It
Mhm.
just kind of takes you out of that stressful, repetitive mind game that you may have going on. Whatever that song is in your head that you have just going on and on about how your day went horrible. So now just get out in nature and see something different. Sometimes we also just need to sit quietly.
It's a hard
Um,
one.
put that phone down. Sometimes I find my phone in my hand and I'm like, why am I holding on to this phone? Kind of just clip the shackle, the electronic shackle. Turn it off. The TV, turn it off. Even music sometimes. I know music can be a little calming, but sometimes we just need to listen to nothing so we can hear our own thoughts, and then be able to properly process some of those things. But when it's competing against something else, that's kind of hard to do and only keep us in that frustrated or stressed mode, anxious mode. Again, with the couples, just that talking and listening. Sometimes I even recommend y'all go and do something fun, because
Mhm.
you're too busy raising the children. You're trying to figure out the go, go and do something fun together. Remember why you got together. So, I'll kind of add those tips. Go and do something fun. Just don't talk about work. Don't talk about the children. Just enjoy yourself. Sometimes if that's just sitting looking at each other, that's fine too.
And you know that those tips are good whether you're married as a couple or even just an individual. Getting outside. We've talked on the show about grounding and the benefits of putting your feet in the dirt and
Mhm.
connecting with the minerals in the dirt that enhance what's going on in your body. And sitting quiet, being still, and having fun. It's
Exactly.
okay to have fun. Well, we are down to the last minute of our 30 minutes. And so I like to end with a call to action. And really, what you just said is our call to action. Get outside, stop and be still,
Hmm.
and connect and have fun. And I'm going to add to our call to action sleep, get proper sleep and rest, eat healthy, and take care of your physical health so that your mental health can be better. As
Exactly.
we end, could you tell our audience how they could find you online?
Yes, I can be found at hartford.com. That's HARTFORD place, PLACE.com, or email at hope@hartfordplace.com. Or
Awesome.
dial 817-760-3626.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
It's been my
And we look
pleasure.
forward, I'm so glad to be back, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I am Miss B, the Black Couch Therapist, and I'm here to help you become a better you. See you next week for one more episode of Black Mental Health is Black Health. Bye, Chrissy. Thanks again.
Bye. Thank you.